Okie dokie.
Hey, how you doing? On our play for this week. Wait, scrolling up, gotta love it. God of War Debs making its first new IP in over 20 years. Crazy. Xbox delays Avowed so you can play games that aren't Avowed. Okay. Are you ready for a Like a Dragon Total War? RGG hopes so. After laying off 220 employees, what is next for Bungie? All this and more on season 8, episode 32 of Press X to Start Gamers Digest. Whoa. What's up, everyone? I'm your host, DJ, aka, that was a little loud, aka Sexy Bad Choices, aka I went bang bang and shoot on my PC and it did not go great. I am joined by,
Sean MF Ross.
what does the MNF stand for?
That was a little low.
Oh. Now you know who we are. Press X Start Gamers Digest is a video podcast that condensed the most important gaming news from this past week into an hour-long meal just for you. We are live on YouTube every Sunday when we can make it, because of course, life is hard.
But listening to us is easy.
Yes, it is. Don't forget, you can support us by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell. If you are listening, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, or the podcast service you are currently tuned in on. If you want, you can join our conversation by joining our Discord at pressx2start.com/Discord. Hey, now that that is taken care of, let us jump into the gaming news with number one. Sony Santa Monica is making its first new IP in over 20 years. This comes to us from Eurogamer.net by way of Vicky Blake. So, in this article, I'm just going to kind of jump into the middle because that's where you kind of get into the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. So, this was found out through LinkedIn, of course, because everything happens through LinkedIn as the first source. So, in the About section of their LinkedIn profile, a developer supervising character development said they were thrilled to be back at Santa Monica after a brief departure to work at Striking Distance and Unknown Worlds. And this is the quote. Sony Santa Monica Studios presented the opportunity of coming back as character supervisor, looking after the entire character development pipeline on their new IP. So here I am, thrilled to be back, working again with the crew and pushing characters in video games together. The developer said. So that's pretty much the crux of this whole thing. The weird, like, well, yeah, duh, is that there was a rumor a while ago that Santa Monica was going to be working on, or Cory Barlog, developer of God of War, was his next game was going to be like a sci-fi thing. So this is kind of falling in line with that. The weird thing is that rumor was probably at this point maybe like a year or two old. So for them to be hiring a person to do character stuff now,
Yeah.
this, or maybe that rumor was last year. Because if it was last year, hiring a character person now probably makes sense because they have the skeleton of the thing set up. But it kind of sucks because that means that we're not going to see this for another like
3,
year,
4 years.
2 years. Yeah, like the game 3-4 years, but like at least like a trailer or something for like the next year or two or something. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's cool. Of course, you wish this stuff was happening sooner so we can just see something and be like, "Ooh, that's looking cool." See it in about 2 years. But yeah, does this excite you? Does it do anything for you, Sean?
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they're gonna go with it now that they're a more I don't want to call it a more mature studio, but they're taking a
Mm-hmm.
more, if you want to call God of War grounded, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I'm in the same place as you. Like, I really loved how they took Kratos and like made him. Well, he first started as like this crazy supernatural that's with
M-
killing and
Man that was too
anger.
angry to die.
Exactly, exactly. And they like really took that character and just grounded him and just essentially just made this new character that everyone just loves, this new father that everyone loves.
Mhm.
So for them to just have that in their backpack as they're just, on their way to this new project, it's like, okay.
Was it David Jaffe or who was it from the original trilogy that did not like the direction that they took?
Yeah, it was David Jaffe.
By the way,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I understand his complaints,
Hmm.
but the story was so well done. I'm wondering if it could have still been well done if they didn't have him have that character growth. Like where would they would have gone with the story if they didn't do that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like the reason why it was so impactful is because we all had an understanding of who Kratos was,
Yeah,
but it was that thing of like, he was that character for us at that time when we were, younger. But then we get treated to this, like this older Kratos as we also age, and it's like it kind
that
of
we
puts
can
everything
relate
in
to.
perspective. Exactly,
I
exactly.
got I got my Blades of Chaos under my floorboards.
Right? Hey, man, my skin under this completely white. You know what I mean?
You're gonna get us canceled.
Hopefully we'll get views before that happens. You know what I mean? All right. So yeah, we'll see what comes up from this. I wouldn't expect anything of this year, not next
Mhm.
year. So we'll see 2026.
I hate to hear this news only because it's gonna be in the back of your head like, damn, I wonder what they're working on. And by the time they do work, announce
Yeah.
it, still more
Yeah.
waiting.
Exactly, exactly. Like I debated about putting this on the cast. But I was like, might as well. Might as well.
Mhm.
All right. Number two, Like a Dragon fans buzz as Sega trademark Yakuza Wars. This comes to us from IGN by way of, let the little thing load, Ryan Dinsdale. So, as the title suggests, Sega has trademarked this thing called Yakuza Wars. We don't know what it is. We're assuming it's a game. Um, this the reason why this everyone's buzzing around it, one, because it has Yakuza in the title, and we know, okay,
Mhm.
if it's Yakuza, it's probably like a dragon thing. The weird part though is that RGG Studios did say that going forward, they were going to use Like a Dragon to brand their Yakuza
For the
games.
mainline games, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So, and they also did say that, hey, the next Like a Dragon or like Yakuza title is going to be different. We are excited for this, so hope you guys are ready. So Yakuza War is very much so in line with like Total War, that kind of RTS, like real time strategy game.
I don't know how that fits in this world, but I mean, maybe they find the fun in it.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would imagine it would be like the most bare bones system that I could probably think of would be like, okay, well, you're probably head of a Yakuza and you're just sending your troops through the
Well,
wow, what's the main
they had a
city?
mode like this already. They've actually had it at
Yeah,
least once or twice.
really.
I forget which iteration, but one of the main characters or main supporting characters, Goro Majima, had a Majima Construction, and it was a RTS section of the game.
Okay.
So there's precedent for it already. However, I don't know if I want a whole game of that.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I'm predicting that this is probably going to be the size of the man who erased his name,
Yeah.
that smaller title where yeah, like I would hope that this is going to be, as story driven as the Yakuza titles, but with the combat system being like this RTS thing. I like,
What you know about the story, DJ?
hey, I played like 60 hours of Like a Dragon. And I still ain't beat it. I don't know much about the story, shall I be honest? Oh, but yeah, like this is exciting. And we're supposed to get an announcement at is it Gamescom? Is it Gamescom? No. Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah.
So between September 26th and 29th at Tokyo Game Show. So that's next month, man. So let's get ready for that. Number 3. Avowed delayed to February 2025. This comes to us from Xbox Twitter. So the tweet reads, yes, because I'm not saying the X. It's the X, the X. So one more X would be in trouble. So the tweet reads, so many games coming. As such, we're moving Avowed to February 18th, 2025 to give players backlog some breathing room. Stay tuned for more from our games across Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox Game Studios at Gamescom, including our August 23rd live stream for a look at Avowed. And then they have a picture of essentially the slate of games that are coming from essentially the end, or I guess from now to the end of 2024 and then on to 2025.
I
So
wonder if
that
it was
slate of
always
games,
supposed to come out in 2025, but they just wanted to make it look like it was jam packed for their direct, whatever the hell it was called.
this is completely just saving face. Like the game, like when Avowed first showed,
Mm-hmm.
everyone was just like, that doesn't look great. And then they showed it again, and people were like, okay, this looks a little better, but the combat is still kind of lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last showing, the combat looked better, but overall, it didn't get enough buzz that they were hoping for. So they're essentially, I feel like they were in a position where it's just like, okay, we could put this game out right now,
Mm-hmm.
but it's probably going to hurt us to rush this out. So let us delay
They
it.
can't have any mistakes.
Exactly. Like every first party title has to hit so strong from this point going forward, because that's what they promised. They promised to have these heavy hitters, and as of now, Starfield was a pretty heavy hitter. Hellblade 2 didn't really get there. But again, like the issue that Xbox is in right now is that unfortunately they have to position some of these niche games as like big tentpole games, and like it's really hard to do it. It's hard to convert people in that way. So
Yeah.
yeah. So the list of games they have going for I guess from August on, we got August 26th, World of Warcraft, The War Within. I had to say it that way. September 4th, Age of Mythologies Retold. September 24th? Yeah, September 24th.
Mm-hmm.
RA History Untold. October 8th, Diablo DLC, Vessel of Hatred. October 25th, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. November 19th, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Sometime in 2024, we got Indiana and the Great Circle. Then sometime in
I'm looking forward to
2024,
that.
yeah, yeah. I'm not that big of an indie person.
And that's
I'm
fine.
interested. Yeah, I'm interested to see how it does. I think the styling of the last trailer we saw in the
Mm-hmm.
Xbox showcase looked interesting. It looked very different from
Y-
like a
y-
typical
You're either into
thing.
Indiana Jones or not, and that looked.
That's true.
If you've seen the old movies, I haven't seen
Yeah.
the last one because not my Indiana Jones
Yeah.
hashtag.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so again, sometime in 2024, we got Starfield Shattered Space. Again, sometime in 24, we got Towerborn. And
Mm-hmm.
then the new date for Avowed is February 18th. And then sometime in 2025, we got South of Midnight. Sometime in 2025, we got Doom the Dark Ages. And sometime in 2025, we got Fable. So here's a problem with moving your game into 2025. You are in such uncharted territories because you have juggernaut titles like Monster Hunter Wilds coming out in 2025,
Yeah.
GTA 6 coming out in 2025. And then for Sony lineup, I think they are going to position Ghost 2 in 2025 at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're going to do the best they can with Avowed, and I really hope that when that game comes out, it is that like smaller Skyrim replacement that a lot of people are hoping it is. But that's gonna be rough goings. So
I can see that.
yeah, we'll see. But yeah, more power to them devs. If this again, also if this avoids them from like really having the crunch, like that's definitely like great. So yeah. Number four, Microsoft and Activision have formed a new team within Blizzard to work on smaller games based on existing IPs. This comes to us from Windows Central by way of Jez Corden. So, okay. Over the past weeks, many King employees had switched their LinkedIn profiles from King to Blizzard. Uh, we can reveal, we as in Jess Corden from Windows Central, can reveal that Microsoft and Activision have formed a new, smaller team within Blizzard comprised of King and various other employees to work on smaller titles based on existing Blizzard franchises like Overwatch, Warcraft, StarCraft, and beyond. Microsoft is keen to leverage its huge back catalog on franchises it acquired within or with its Blizzard Activision or Activision Blizzard purchase from previous years. All this is saying is that they're going to start making mobile games. Whenever you bring King into the conversation, it is just mobile games. Like King just makes like the I mean, of course, their biggest title is Candy Crush,
The
but
most
they
addicting.
are yes,
I don't know if you're gonna say the best, but the most addicting.
yeah, the most addicting. Yes, yes, you're totally right. So to me, this I wouldn't look at this and think, oh, they're going to try to appeal to the same gamers that play Overwatch, Warcraft, and StarCraft and beyond. No, no. This is going to try their best to target the outside audience, target the, moms who are just kind of just playing the puzzle games. Not
Nah, you
exactly
know
the
what?
moms, but like,
No, they may be looking to add in those addictive qualities into games that have battle passes, even more so.
what? Well, the thing is, they're going to work on smaller titles. Like I feel
Mhm.
like this is trying to say they're going to work on mobile titles without saying they're going to work on mobile titles. Because can you play Overwatch on your phone?
Would you want to?
Not at all. Absolutely not. No. But yeah, we'll see what comes of this. This is definitely interesting, and I think this is sort of the flexibility Microsoft should be having with their properties because they have so many properties. It's just like we got to do something with these things because they're just
Mhm.
burning a hole in our pocket. So yeah, more power to them. Okay, before we jump into the entire, well, how long has it been? 21 minutes. The entire clusterfuck of Bungie and what's going on there. Hey there, how you doing? You good? Do us a solid, please. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you are listening and you're not seeing me look at you, look at me, look at you, then leave us a review on Spotify, to Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, whatever podcast service you're currently tuned in on. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's jump back in. Number 5, the new path for Bungie. Oh boy. So Bungie, if you don't know Bungie, they made Halo. Before Halo, they actually made Marathon. Um, they made Destiny, and yeah, that's the Bungie that we're talking about right now. So they released a blog post on their website, penned by Pete Parson, who is the CEO of Bungie, and the title is "The New Path Forward." I'm not going to read this giant long thing because everyone knows what's going on already.
Yeah.
So essentially, Bungie is changing course in pretty much every way imaginable. They laid off 220 employees. Um, that's about 17% of their studio.
Damn.
Then, yeah, and then they split off about 155 employees to form a new studio under Sony Interactive Entertainment, and they're going to be working on another project. But essentially, the Bungie that we all knew is morphing, and it is going to be essentially taken over by Hermen Hulst. Is it his last name Hulst?
Yeah, yeah.
The Yeah, okay. The new part or joint CEO of PlayStation. And the reason why that's happening is because when PlayStation bought Bungie, the deal was that they had to hit these deadlines, they had to hit these milestones to sell X number or to make X number of money from Destiny to keep their independence. And if they
Mhm.
don't do that, then they will be brought under the wing of PlayStation. And here we are because even though the final shape did spectacularly well, it's sitting at like a 91 on OpenCritic, I think an 89 on Metacritic. It is pretty much beloved by a lot of people. A lot of people say Destiny or Bungie managed to land the plane. All that was still not enough to avoid these layoffs, to avoid essentially Bungie just imploding. It just, none of this was avoidable, essentially because that same CEO, Pete Parson,
Yeah,
fix the books to like to inflate the profitability of Bungie and put himself in just such a bad position where they just couldn't, there's no way they could have achieved the success that Sony asked them to achieve based off of the stuff that they showed uh Sony. So yeah, it's just literally the worst possible thing that could happen in one of these like partnership situations where even when Sony bought Bungie, it was always a weird thing like okay, like they're not under PlayStation, they're like
yeah.
partnered with
Side by side.
PlayStation. Yeah. And they're supposed to help guide these live service games because Bungie is the quote unquote king of live service because they have Destiny and it's managed to stay afloat all these 10 years. I say stay afloat because it has not always been successful. I am a
Yeah,
scorned Destiny 1 and 2 fan, and there was definitely dark days where I was just like, screw this game. There's nothing to do here because their content cycle is horrible. But I still played it because I was just stuck in a bad relationship with Destiny. Anyways, um, yeah, so I just said a lot of words. I don't even know where to jump from. Uh, so yeah, so Herman Hulst will take over
control
Bungie.
of
That's
Bungie.
pretty much
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much going to happen. Now, there's a bunch of articles that I'm just kind of picking from because a lot of it there's a lot of bleed over.
Hmm.
Um yeah, like what's your thoughts on this while I figure myself out?
Herman Holst specifically.
I mean
Um.
just this whole thing, just this whole mess of a situation.
So hopefully he can turn it around without having to, just throw in the towel, shut him down.
Mhm.
Hopefully he doesn't have to go that route.
Yeah.
Um. I was never a fan of, uh, shit. I was about to call it Halo. Um. Destiny.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I never liked Destiny. I never liked Halo, regardless. I mean,
Okay.
we'll see where they go from here. But it just sucks that Pete Parsons was a asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple things with specifically dealing with Mr. Pete himself. Um so this so yeah, just to go back to what you were saying, um it's one of those things where like yeah, if you don't like Halo, all their games are just built off of the backbone of that game. So, it's hard to get adjusted to it and like jump back and forth between that and like a Call of Duty. So, I
Yeah.
totally get that. Um in terms of Pete Parsons,
Asshole.
Sony Sony needs to fire him from Bungie. And it's one of those things
Is
where
he
it's
not
like,
gone already? I think he's already out.
is he? I don't know if he's out or not. I don't think I saw anything about him actually being gone. If he's gone, great move by Sony. Like that's a first step to fixing Bungie. My personal opinion is I am it sucks that Bungie has lost all these like amazing people, but I am also super happy that it is that Bungie is going to be under the control of Hermen Hulst, because if you don't know who he is, he came from Gorilla, and he literally turned Gorilla from the Killzone studio, which was a pretty good studio, pretty like, strong studio, to the like Horizon Forbidden West studio, which you may not like Aloy, but like that is a phenomenal studio, and they produce like, I will still say to this day, uh Horizon Forbidden West is probably still like one of the best looking games of current generation.
Yeah, Pete Parsons is still there.
Ah, jeez, that's unfortunate. Well, yeah. So this article comes from VG 24/7. Bungie CEO Pete Parsons has seemingly spent over $2 million on classic cars and motorbikes since Sony bought the studio back in 2022.
Good God.
So yes, that's what he's been doing with the money he got from Sony after cooking the books.
Hmm.
Good old cars. Um, this article is by Mark Warren. That's pretty much it. Another employee pretty much called Pete out on this, like in an irate manner. I don't remember where that article was, but like if you catch it, read it. It's pretty hilarious. But like the person is really peed off because it's very much so like the dude. I don't know if it's a lady or a guy or they or whatever. But the person was like, you called me out to see your cars the day before you fired us. Like ridiculous. Like just crazy. Um so yeah, that's him and his fuckery. There's another article from The Verge. So Microsoft considered acquiring Bungie and Sega to bolster Xbox Game Studios, and internal email shows. Um, so the important part about that is that it's from Tom Warren. The important part about this is that Microsoft saw, or they rated Bungie as high as having a high burn rate risk. So essentially, they're burning a lot of money, and it's a risk to buy that studio.
Yeah.
But then PlayStation turns around and buy that studio. So the issue is like, okay, well, did Sega not do their due diligence? Like, sorry, not
I
Sega.
mean,
Did
Sony,
Sony
yeah.
not do their did Sony not do their due diligence? Like, what? Why did Sony buy Bungie when the evidence was clear that this was a big risk? I
It is
Go
quite
ahead.
possible that they do their due diligence, but the
Yeah,
books are cooked.
yeah. So yeah, and that's the thing too. Like it's a thing. I have two reasons. Like that one, I think is a very probably obvious answer in that like Pete Parsons was just like, all right, well, we need to get by
Mhm.
because we are burning a lot of money and we need a bigger power to help us get through this. And he just kind of tweaked things to make them look a lot better than where they were. I think the other thing is that in this time period when this was happening, Microsoft just acquired Bethesda. No, I think they had Bethesda for like a year. I think this was in 2021.
Yeah.
So at this point, and I even think at that point there was rumors that Microsoft was looking to purchase other publishers. So I think in the Sony camp, they were like, okay, well, if they're starting this bidding war, we're going to have to do our best to get, as high of a studio as we can
They
with
didn't
as
want to get
much
left
money that
behind
we have.
because it looks like they're on a acquisition spree. So I mean, it's understandable.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think that's what pretty much got Sony into this whole partnership that is putting them in a situation right now.
Yeah.
Um, so Jason Schreier from Bloomberg had this giant report of like the full story about how Bungie got into this mess, like how they are where they are right now, and it's super long, but it's like really informative. There's a couple of uh, little informational pieces that came from it. So this is one of them. And this comes from Insider Gamer, who pulled it from there. Bungie will no longer release paid expansions for Destiny 2. So, and this comes to us from Mike Straw.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the news report, or in the new report from Jason Schreier, Bungie is no longer planning to release regular pay expansions for the game. Sales of each expansion have continued to fall year over year, leading to a change in approach. Instead of the large expansions, Bungie will do more small scale updates. These updates, Schreier said, will be released for free and coming with overhauls to activities that it hopes will appeal to hardcore players. So, as a previous hardcore player, I look at this and I think that's a
Oh,
fantastic thing to hear.
that's what you think you were?
At the time, yes, because I spent too many hours running the same dang strikes and stuff just to level up a character that I ultimately didn't even bother playing with.
Mm,
But yeah. So yeah, like having these smaller scale updates and making it free, I think is a better approach than how they, especially in this current era of like shooters, like that's kind
yeah.
of what you do. Um, so just reading on the article, other vague plans for the future includes a storyline that will feature characters and worlds that Destiny has not yet explored. The report adds. Um, so okay, actually, let's continue reading. As far as another Destiny game, namely Destiny 3, that's still not in the works, which I thought was interesting because at this point, I think we are at the 10-year mark for Destiny 2. And that was kind of, the overall plan is going to be a 10-year story for Destiny or whatever. So it's like, okay, what do they do next? You would think it'd be Destiny 3 where they like reboot everything, but that wasn't really the plan. Um, the game is not, nor has it ever been in development. They're talking about Destiny 3.
Yeah.
Instead of a new Destiny, Bungie wants to make Destiny 2 a more attractive game for players. So they are essentially stopping, they, I guess, wanted to stop at Destiny 2
Mm-hmm.
and just make that just be the game that lives on. Um, the quote next, Bungie is instead looking to create a smoother onboarding process for Destiny 2, such as a rebranding to attract new players who might be turned off by a game that can now feel impenetrable to those unfamiliar with its
It's word.
ample proper nouns. Yes. that
It
is,
doesn't
that
feel
is
accessible as like Fortnite,
not at all. Not at all. As I'll tell you, it's even worse if you do have experience with that game. You jump back in because there's a level of confidence that you
right?
have that's
What the
just
hell is
like,
all this?
yeah, and it's just like it gets annoying because it's just like, all right, I know where this stuff was like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know where anything is. Like I feel like an old man. I hate this. But
That's the
yeah.
secret.
So
You are an old
so
man.
what? Oh. So yeah, so that's where Destiny 2 is right now. Um, and then along with all this, we got even more bad news where
Mm.
Bungie layoffs include senior execs like Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy. So Luke Smith has been the face of Destiny for a very long time. Like, yeah, so that just sucks. There so the wording behind layoffs, we don't exactly know how they were let go. It could have been like there was a deal
Yeah.
that was made to them and they took the deal and that deal involved them leaving the company. So that's not really them being laid off. Like they could have left the company, but they're no longer working at Bungie, essentially. Um the so okay, so let me just read this article. So this comes to us from a GameSpot by way of Timur Hussein. Shout out to Timur. Um So yeah, Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy, two senior executives at Bungie, were both part of the recent rounds of layoffs, according to a new report. Oh, so maybe they were laid off. Speaking on, oh, okay, this is from Jeff Grubb. Okay,
Yeah.
speaking on his Game Master Size podcast, Jeff Grubb confirms that the duo were working on Payback, a new game set in Destiny universe, but let but were let go as part of a sweeping of job losses at the now PlayStation owned studio. So yeah, okay. So really and truly, the most important part about this is the whole payback thing. Like, what was payback? We know from the previous article that payback was not Destiny 3. Payback was actually a different Bungie Destiny property.
Yeah.
So payback was supposed to be a third person gotcha style game like Genshin Impact or like
Okay.
Warframe, where you are in this open world, you are working or you're playing with like, it's co-op, so you're playing with other people, but you're
Hmm.
fighting monsters and stuff. Very much like a Genshin Impact with, of course, a gotcha system, and you have, you roll for characters and like, oh, you get soldier. I forget the name of the soldier from fucking Destiny. Anyways, like it that piece of information
Hmm.
was so like what? Like I read it a couple times because I just couldn't comprehend it. So it was very much so like, what is going on with this? But yeah, that's what Luke Smith was working on. But I guess that's going to be shelved because it's no longer a thing that's happening because he's no longer at the studio. All right. So lastly about all of this, Bungie reportedly. Oh no, that's actually the same thing. So actually, we can just get rid of this because I just talked about that. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. So yeah. So essentially, we're where we are now is we're at a much smaller Bungie. There is a second studio that will be working on some unknown project that are all at this point ex Bungie people.
Yeah.
Uh, Bungie is now going to be ran as a PlayStation studio, so it's going to be under the wing of Hermen Hulst, and essentially they're going to be just focusing on Marathon, which is coming out next year, and Destiny 2
Hopefully that don't
with
turn out like Concord.
Concord. Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that with it, these words are now hollow now because it's like, what is? Oh, I know. Destiny's still a good shooter. Destiny's still a good shooter. I'm hoping that Marathon plays as well as Destiny does,
Yeah.
and it's just a fun experience. But we'll see. Okay. Last up for the gaming. Actually, no, actually not last up. Number 6. Game Informer to shut down after 33 years. Yeah, this sucks.
Yeah, that hurts.
So yeah. Did you own Game Informer?
I read it frequently enough because I mean I
Yeah.
had Game Pro. I mean and-
Electronic Game Monthly, EGM.
no, GameStop. When you had GameStop Pro Plus Ultimate, whatever the hell,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
got the
yeah. And they give you,
subscription for
yeah,
free. So I mean, I enjoyed the.
yeah,
I still enjoy a little bit of analog. We're old men.
yeah,
I like turning
yes,
to
yeah.
you know, what
A
happens when your phone
magazine,
dies on the toilet? You go to a magazine.
right?
What do we have now?
Nothing. A bigger battery on our phones. But yeah, man, like this really sucks. Yeah, like I loved Game Informer. Like Game Informer was one of my like it was Game Informer and EGM were the two magazines that like I begged my mom to subscribe to so I can just be up on the
Yeah,
like
that and
gaming
Game
stuff.
Pro back in the day.
Yeah, I didn't get Game Pro, and it was one of the things just like, well, I got these two. Like it should be fine. So I just never really knew about Game Pro. But yeah, after 33 years, they are closing down,
I'm
and
surprised they lasted this long.
yeah, man, seriously, like the for they're essentially the last ones to be up now. I forget who was.
Major.
Yeah, I forget who what magazine closed before them, but yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like they're under GameStop and GameStop closed them down, but GameStop closed them down in probably the most worst way. In that,
Yeah.
if you go to the Game Informer webpage right now,
Hmm.
there is essentially You can't look at any of the back issues. You can't look at any of the articles that was written. Like you
That's
just
a,
go to a, splash page with like a little graphic on it, and it's
somebody will
just
upload them, Jones. I know somebody just has a closet. Some random person has been
that's the
collecting
hope.
them,
Yeah,
and
man.
they're in pristine condition
Yeah.
and all this wild stuff.
Yeah.
Let
So
me see.
actually about that, I believe MinMax, which is like a smaller internet like based company, they had people from Game Informer. Actually, I think actually people from Game Informer started MinMax. I think that's how that worked.
Mm,
But they are going to be trying to pull all of those like issues and stuff and like get a repository. So that's awesome.
man, I'm looking
On
at
top
all
of
these old defunct video game magazines.
yeah, man.
Official Dreamcast magazine, EGM2,
Yeah.
PSM, official
Yeah.
PlayStation magazine, Next Generation,
I had
Game
PSN too,
Fan,
or PSM. Yeah.
Computer Gaming World, Nintendo Power, EGM, like you said, Electronic Gaming Monthly. Like this is back in the era of them shipping like demo discs and stuff. I used to collect
Mhm.
PC demo discs, even though I didn't have shit that could run it.
Oh.
Like I just used to
Hey, man, I get it, I get it.
just wanted the thing.
Um, yeah, man, it's one of those things where it's like, we are at the point now where we are losing a lot of the things we grew up on, and it's
Yeah.
just like, it just sucks to see, to be honest. Um, so just to get back to this whole thing in GameStop and just how just shitty they are,
Mm,
they put up a letter that was not penned by any of the Game Informer people because all of them was like, I didn't do this. And after people like carefully looked at it, it had a very AI tinge to it.
mm.
So there's that where people are just like, GameStop is just being real bad. Um, on top of that, one of the at this point ex Game Informer employees happened to still have access to the Twitter channel, jumped on the Twitter channel and basically was just like, "Hey guys, if if any of you are hiring people, these are the list of people that got let go and their like contact information, like their email address or whatever, or I think their handles, their social handles. So contact them and reach out to them, talk to them, try to get them a job if you can."
Yeah.
GameStop saw this and nuked the whole Twitter channel. Like GameStop is not messing around with this. And to me, this feels like GameStop cut them so quickly for two reasons. Well, possibly two reasons. One is that they are, again, in dire need of money. So they need to cut this stuff off as quick as possible so they can recoup that money. Or two, they're going to try and do some GameStop magazine bullshit. Like for them to actually no, that doesn't make sense because they would just keep the people and just be like, hey, no, now it's GameStop magazine, not Game Informer.
Mm-mm.
So they probably just need money because they always need money because they're dying. Hey. Yeah, I don't know. I pour one out for Game Informer guys. Like if you grew up on Game Informer, you know how much this sucks. If you didn't grow on Game Informer,
Go
think
back in time.
of right. Think of it as like one of your favorite streamers just got shut down and they can't move their channel to Twitch or move it to a YouTube and like that's
Yeah.
it. And like all their stuff just went away. Like it sucks. It just sucks. Um, but yeah, that's it for the major stuff. Now let's get into the quick hits, and this is pretty quick. Number 7. Valorant launches on Xbox Series S, X, and PS5. This comes to us from The Verge, and as the title suggests, from Tom Warren from The Verge. Yeah, so Valorant made a surprise release and is now available on consoles. And people who enjoyed that game or people who played it on PC and wanted it on console, now it's there on your console for you. Just download it and play it. Have fun.
Mm.
Are you gonna play that?
I played the beta. I'm not great
Yeah,
at it. I don't think multiplayer shooters are for me anymore. I don't know. I'll
yeah.
probably. fool around in Call of Duty just because Call of Duty, Fortnite
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like I enjoyed
Mm,
my time with Concord, but it is that thing of like you get to the point where it's just like, okay, do I really want to sit here and learn a new shooter or just play the shooter that I already know how to play and will have some sort of fun in and just kind of live there. So like that's where I was with Valorant. Like I liked it. It was it was a cool experience, but it's also just not for me. Okay, so the last quick hit, number 8, Dragon Age: The Veilguard release date not before October 2024. Uh, but the announcement is soon. This comes to us from IGN. Basically, they are saying that they will release the release date for the game between like October 1 and December 2024. Just let us know when the game comes out, man. Like we don't need to do all this financial year BS like math to figure out when you're gonna announce the release date for this game. Just let us know and we'll buy the game. We'll play the game. Simple as that. I'm most likely I'm gonna be buying Dragon Age because I did like my time in Inquisition, even though I don't remember much about that game or even that I spent like 100+ hours in that game. But yeah, um, so that's it for the gaming news. Now let us jump into what we've been playing. Sean, what have you been playing?
well, and I've been slowly getting through Rebirth. I'm just preparing
Mm-hmm.
for Black Myth Wukong to come out and
Mm-hmm.
Astrobot, Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom, all that good stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'm just making my way through Final Fantasy, so I don't feel like I wasted my money.
Yeah.
I am enjoying it though.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
It just takes forever to
I
actually get to the good stuff.
yeah. So I jumped back into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and
Oh,
yeah, it was difficult. I will say it was difficult
you got over the hump.
because I don't know if I got over the hump. I'm still in the Chocobo like farm area,
Oh, the first one.
and yeah, the first one, yeah. So like I'm still in the like beginning, but I had a mission. I I s- I didn't rage quit, but I definitely quit on this mission where I had to go fight this the chocobo like sniffed the ground and took me to this beach side, and there was like a
Mhm.
monster over there that I had to fight, and I was fighting them. I died like 3 times, and I was just like, why can't I just use a potion on Cloud? Like, what's going on? And then I realized that, oh, because I don't have any ATB. And it's like
Uh,
I
the
forgot
ATV
about
is
that.
kind of annoying. I will say that.
Yes. Like I got
But
so irate that I
but
just
but you can earn it in other ways other than just straight attacking. So I mean, like
like,
I just realized you could switch to Punisher mode and block, and it'll automatically counter shit.
oh, you can block in Punisher mode?
You just hold on the block button, he automatically counters.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
did not realize this until I looked it up because I was having trouble with a
Yeah.
instance fight later on where it's like 8
Yeah.
things just wrecking you.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Give it more time. Like One Piece,
I'm a,
just
I'm a,
give it
tr-
more time.
I'm gonna give like it was one of the things where it's just like I paused the game, I jumped out of the game, I went back to ZZ, and I was like, okay, yeah, this combat just feels a lot better. And it's one of those things where it's like it's an unfair comparison because Final Fantasy VII has great combat, but it's also this giant 80-hour, like 80+ hour RPG thing with a bunch of other stuff. Whereas Zenless Zero, you know, it's half combat, half like this graphic novel kind of storytelling system or whatever. So it's like
Mhm.
I understand that, but at the same time, it's just like it is just getting over that hump of just like, okay, this thing, I just wish I could use my potions without having to burn an ATP bar. And it's just stuff like that that I have to like just remember and just kind of get used to. But yeah, I'm gonna give that some another chance or so before Black Myth Wukong comes out.
I would say
Other
just
than that,
keep going. It gets better once you start I don't know, just unlocking things.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. Like once I remembered like it's not just like spamming buttons, you also have your like skills that you can use and stuff. And I
Mhm.
think I need to start just using Tifa more because I remember at the end of Rebirth, I was using Tifa pretty much any chance I could get, or even over Cloud, and like I
Yeah.
just liked her combo system a bit better, or her move system a bit better. But so yeah, I was fortunate enough to get into the early beta access for Mecha Break, which is the currently right now PC like mecha arena, like 6v6 arena
Mhm.
shooter that is kind of rivaling like Armor Core in terms of the mech designs and like how it moves. It's really fast paced. Apparently there's supposed to be a single player mode attached to it when the game fully released, but I decided to give my computer, my good old PC right here that I'm recording with, a chance to play a PC game. And boy, let me tell you, Sean, when I
Yeah.
started the game up, I was
You paid
like,
$1,700 to suck in 4K.
no, the thing is, I didn't set my new computer up, so I'm just using the old
God damn
computer.
it, TJ.
Exactly. I know. I'm dumb. I know. But I was like, I'll give it a shot because I played like this other mech game called like Mass Builder or whatever. I was like, that looked pretty decent. I started this game, Sean, and it looked so bad. And I was like, why does this look so bad? Like, what's happening? I know my computer's not that bad. I went in the settings and it was set to like 12 something by like 720p, like
Yeah.
12 something by 720. Yeah. And
Damn. That looks bad. That could mess
yeah, I
with you.
was like, why did it do that? And like I just went to like standard HD, like 1920 by 1080, and it looked a lot better. I was like, why'd you is my computer like why would you do that? Just set it to standard. What's happening? Anyways, I set it to standard. The game just looked a lot better. Then I got down to the controls. And you know me, I'm a stickler for controls. I plugged in my PlayStation 5 controller into into my computer. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna play the game with my controller because that's where I'm the most comfortable with. And the game gave me a warning, Sean. It said, "Hey, look, we're not configured for controller, but you could try your best to see what happens." And boy, did I try my best. I played that game for about no, actually no, probably about 10 minutes or so. Because I got past like the first stage tutorial and I got like into the like openish area of like fighting. And the issue for me is just that the game is not built for controller. It's built for keyboard. So there's a bunch of like different buttons and stuff. And I just have to sit there and just like configure it to work with the controller. And I just don't really have time for that. So I didn't really play too much of Mecha Break, but I'm gonna give it another shot.
Yeah.
There's gonna be an open beta, I think August 9th, and that runs for a couple of days. So hopefully by then I'll have the new computer set up and try it again then. The last game I played started yesterday was on a pure whim because I was listening to IGN UK podcast, and this was the third place I heard about the game called Thank Goodness You're Here. And have you heard of this game at all, Sean?
Thank goodness you're here.
Yeah.
No.
So this is a small, like indie-ish like game. Um m- it's in the same vein as what's that? The Untitled Goose Game,
Ah, okay.
where you're playing you're and thank goodness you're here. You're playing as a little character and you are running around doing tasks and you only have two buttons. You have the jump button and you have the slap button, and you're just going around jumping and slapping everything, like literally everything. And that's it. You slap a person to get their attention, they'll talk to you, and then they'll either give you a quest or they'll tell you what's happening or whatever.
Mm.
And this game essentially lives on its comedy. And it's a very, 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 very British game in that when you first start the game up, it will basically have a line of dialogue on the screen, and it's like you get two options. One
Yeah.
option is a very British response, and the other option is like, "What are you saying?" And if you click what you're saying, it will give you subtitles for the entire game.
Hmm.
Yeah. So like that's really cool. The game itself, I think it is pretty enjoyable. I'm seeing if I could pull up a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty enjoyable. It's doesn't seem like it's going to be a very long game. And I'm having a good time with it. And it's one of those things where it's like the game is throwing a bunch of jokes at you. Some of them will hit, some of them won't. But as long as a couple hit, you'll have fun. Um, the game, I think it's $20, but it's like 16.99 right now or on PlayStation because there's like a
Yeah.
deal or something happening right now. Um, oh, it's also for the Switch.
I
This,
haven't touched my Switch in a while, and I probably ain't gonna touch it until Zelda comes out.
yeah, this actually is because I'm playing it a lot on the Portal,
Mm.
so this is probably a good Switch game. Let me actually put the trailer on real quick.
Doop, doop.
It's dead air. Yeah, I know, Marcus. I'm sorry.
Beat his ass,
Um,
Marcus.
I'm trying to find the thing to do the thing. So yeah, like I am having a pretty good time with this game. I don't know where I am in the story in terms of like, am I 20? Oh, I guess the PlayStation will clock me and tell you like 25%, 35%,
Yeah.
or whatever. But it is I do have some moments where I'm just like, I don't exactly know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I just kind of run around, slap stuff, and eventually you just kind of find your way. And that's kind of been
That's
my
how I live
time
my
with the
life.
game. Sounds like what?
That's how I live my life.
Oh. So yeah, it's a very like kooky kind of. You could kind of describe it as a cozy game because you're not
Mm.
really having to do too much with the game, and you're just kind of just sitting there and just listening to the people's dialogue, and you're just having fun playing the game. So yeah. Oh, that's further than I am. Yeah, and another thing is that that's new too. Oh, what the heck?
DJ, stop enjoying the trailer.
I know, right? I'm ruining the experience for myself of watching the trailer. Oh no.
Mm.
So yeah, this is actually it's a really fun game. I because humor in games kind of off and on for me, but it kind of worked out. So that is thank goodness you're here. I would suggest you check it out if you just want to burn some time playing some games that could be fun, may not be fun, but you've been warned. All right. That is it for the games we have been playing, and that is it for this podcast. We hope you enjoyed. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Press X Start Gamer Digest. If you want, you can leave us a review on Apple Spotify, on Apple
Yes.
Podcasts.
That.
Yeah, right. Apple is it Apple Music? Whatever podcast service you're currently tuned in on, leave us a review there. It is getting late. I haven't really played my games yet. I'm in the state, guys. You know what I mean? I haven't eaten dinner yet, man. I'm doing the best I can. All right, doing the best I can.
Mm.
If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and also let us know what games you're playing. Are you playing Thank Goodness You're Here? Because thank goodness you're here. See what I did there? See what I did
Yeah.
there? I should have did that a lot earlier. This is the ending, and no one watches the end of anything. So yeah, you be safe. You keep playing the video games, and tell us. Tell no, don't tell us. Tell your friends about us because we want them to know about us, so we can know about. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, see you later, guys.
Bye. 私パスタ
Okay.
Pay attention to it. I can't do it.
What'd she say?
Me. She's like, I can't do it. She just do it.
Oh. I know, right?